second by Commissioner Allen. All in favor say, if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. So, move to public comment. Is there any public comment, please? Yes, sir, please, of course.
I've forgotten, do you get to do public comment on each item on the agenda as it comes up, or what?
No, so public comment right now is reserved to any item on the agenda or any item under the jurisdiction of the PRC.
Right.
But
Right.
not before each item, just one time. Yes, sir. We do public comment at the end as well.
Right. Okay, then good. I guess.
Yes, sir.
Stay around. I'm here on behalf of Oakland Privacy. You got a letter regarding item, 10 something on your agenda? 10 B, right? Hopefully you've read it. Probably not, though. I would like to give you just some background. Oakland Privacy was the organization that first got, in conjunction with the ACLU, first got surveillance equipment ordinances passed some years ago in Santa Clara and Oakland. Recently worked in a coalition you may have seen to get a surveillance ordinance passed in San Francisco that includes a facial surveillance ban. In Berkeley, the Police Review Commission was given the task by the Berkeley City Council of creating a surveillance ordinance. It made a subcommittee, created a subcommittee. This is about 2 years ago now. In which it was drafted along with some members of Oakland Privacy and others who were here. I see only the reason I'm doing this is I see only about 2 of you who were on the PRC at the time all this went down. Once it got out of the subcommittee, it was approved unanimously by the Police Review Commission, sent to the council, and approved unanimously there. What you're now seeing is the implementation of that surveillance equipment ordinance. These policies were in fact supposed to be produced for your review by November 1st, but they were not, such is life, I guess. They are now in front of you for consideration. Oakland Privacy has sent some comments to the Assistant City Attorney who's helping draft them. And the same comments to you people. The purpose of the surveillance ordinance is to give common people, public entities, whatever, the right to comment and know what's going on in terms of what the police are doing in surveillance, what other city entities are doing with respect to surveillance, and give input into what they want to see and what they don't want to see. So this is your job, essentially, and I hope you take it seriously. Hope you are careful by giving it consideration in relation to civil liberties. I don't know what else to say. Obviously, I can't go through in detail all the recommendations that are on this paper, but one thing you could do is sort of agree to them in principle if you think they're good. I am available, for questions, or my email and phone number are on here, as are other members of Oakland Privacy. If you want to have any questions or whatever about the history or what's in there or what's being proposed or what we're saying. So,
Thank you, sir. Anyone else public comment? Go ahead, sir.
Commissioners, my name is Charles Clark. I live in District 6. As far as your review of the Lexipol policies, I would say, like I have said on times before, that your involvement with it is a good thing, and I encourage you to keep at it. And these surveillance policies are important. I hope I don't steal any thunder from the chief. 3 days ago, you may be aware that there was an incident at Parker near Ellsworth, wherein a 40-year-old man was wielding a sickle. And the important element that I would like to call your attention to is that a canine unit from San Leandro was called in for that. That was governed by a Lexipol policy that you yourselves reviewed back in February. Now, I say Lexipol policy, actually it's governed by a city resolution that was passed by the city council in 1982. So it sort of overrides the Lexipol process. I point this out only because if you go to the February 27th package of Lexipol policies, package 1 of 2, and you go to page 314, 315, you can actually see the policies that, at least to my observation, based on what report I've seen of this, BPD adhered to that policy. They seem to have checked off all the boxes where the summoning and deployment of a canine was indicated, was permitted by the city council. An interesting feature of this is that it came from San Leandro. That's a city that's 3/4 the population of Berkley, with a police force and budget about 3/5 the size of Berkley. Now, some might say, well, that's an argument that Berkley should get itself a K-9. I did not go in that direction myself because that's a deeper cost-benefit analysis than this episode would disclose. But what it does do is tell us that it's a good case for our mutual aid with other jurisdictions. And to the extent that you're evaluating policies, I think you should actually include in your thinking, is there a mutual aid component? Is there, because remember, the charge of this commission is to review the rules that also apply to police and intelligence agencies and military agencies that come into the city limits. So you should be thinking about that even if the policy itself is not directly pertinent to mutual aid. And I guess I will just stop there, as having cited this example where the Lexipol process really comes out, when an oddball incident such as needing to summon a K-9 to roust a potentially dangerous person comes about. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. So tell me, anyone else want to comment? Yes, sir, of course.
So, I'm addressing item 9B. I want to preface my remarks that I make tonight, were all addressed directly with the chief in a meeting with ACLU, NAACP, and the Peace and Justice Committee. We had respectful discourse on our differences. We feel overall that the report that was in your packet on May 8th, I think it was, does not address the 3 referrals that the city manager and the police received, 2 from city council and 1 from the PRC. One was in the city council was November 2017, and the other 2 were in April 2018. Most notably missing, a council referral, and I'm going to quote from it, a written department action plan should be an important part of the city manager's effort to study and address racial disparities. In the report index, in May 8th report's then index, the action plan is described as a plan to build trust in an accessibility department. This is a different purpose than the council mandated. Another item is the council states to be effective and broadly accepted, the action plan should be developed by a task force appointed by the city manager to include all the stakeholders in the racial disparity discussion. The task force does not appear in the chief's summary at all. I also want to go to racial disparity. There's no mention of racial disparity in the chief's report. And although we understand that racial disparity in data does not necessarily mean racial profiling, but we support it with anecdotal evidence that comes to specifically, mostly to the NAACP, of complaints of stops, pedestrian or vehicle. We did commit in the meeting to when we get these complaints in the future, that will directly deal with the police. The key supporting, aside from the anecdotal evidence, is the stop yield data. And I'm not sure I can totally explain that in the minute that's left, but it's the ratio of racial stops to actions taken. And the data from the beginning, January 2015, shows twice as many actions taken with white civilians as black civilians. And I want to point out, as I pointed out last week, that that in 2018, although the stops were down, the disparity still exists. There were in 2018 there were 3,086 stops of African Americans and 2,716 white civilians. I just want to summarize that we realize the department's been under stress with a lack of staff, but